new stairs. We've pretty much built a second floor, and it looks like the shade is prepared to dig even deeper for our little home here. He has a plan. It may seem a bit one-dimensional that the space that we're digging out, we're only digging it out. We're not inventing it or creating it. But that's fine. I don't think there's any issue with that kind of a limitation. So today we're headed back to the same place we were a couple of days ago, which is where we were snacking on some mushrooms. That was unfortunate, but we had figured out that the two mushrooms that we want to combine together, we placed them in the wrong order. And because of that, what we were trying to grow, well, you'll see once we get there. So we're going to have to plant new mushrooms. And that's going to take some time for them to grow. So let's do that today. I had wanted to go to that place where we want to jump down, and we needed 2 weeks for that to become available. We're past that time now. However, this other thing is something I want to complete first, so we're a bit sidetracked from where we should be, or where we had planned to be, but we have days to spare, so it's not that big of an issue. On the way, we're going to go visit the moss cave, pick up some moss, and soon we'll be able to build a bed. Now that we've cleared out a big area of floor in our home, let's make some use of it, decorate it and such. And while we hike, picking up coal, because we want to reach that next limit of, well, not limit, that next milestone of 100 coal, which we'll be able to trade for some information. I think the pattern we'll start to follow is we'll go out for a day and do some task, and then on the following day I'll continue reading. Because, as I had mentioned, we're sort of in this Act 2 part of the game where we have a lot of fun tasks we can go out and do. Eventually, though, the tasks will run out, and the only thing left to us will be just to idle our time. So I want to space out those sort of things that we do. After I stream, sometimes I'll dig around the internet, look at forums, look at posts. What other information can I discover about the longing? What other things perhaps do I not know? And we can confirm or explore while playing the game. And I came across an interesting news article. It was written a website called NPR. It was published April 17th of 2023. And the story is back in November 21st of 2021. 2121. Interesting, right? There was a woman named Beatriz Flamini who decided she wants to live in a cave. Not forever, for 500 days because she wants to study what isolation could do to the human body. It's a weird time, I think, 2021 to be doing that, right where COVID and everything was happening. Perhaps she did it as a backup plan and being isolated from everyone. If everything was screwed up and gone, perhaps she'll be able to survive and get through it all, being completely isolated. I don't know. But she had said she wants to study isolation. And that's a bit odd because a lot of people were living in isolation around that time. Forced, unfortunately. So, in any case, when the time came for the 500 days to be finished, some people came to her and she had set some very specific rules that no one would come to her, no one will disturb her. They set up cameras or some equipment so that way scientists could monitor her, but it was only one way. She may have said some things kind of as a diary of just because she knew they were watching, but they couldn't always determine everything that's going on. There's no way to know what's going on in her head. So she may have shared her thoughts to the cameras, but that was it. She had no feedback from them. She had no interactions. It was only one way. And she set a strict rule that if something were to happen to extended family or friends, no one is to contact her at all. Like, she completely committed to the idea of living in this cave in absolute, complete, total isolation for this entire year and a half. And yeah, the 500 days passed, and I guess other researchers went down and they said, it's done. It's finished. Today's the last day. And her first response was, what? Are you sure? I haven't finished my book yet. You see, she had spent a lot of time idling her time away, reading through books. She had read through 60 books, the article says, which is interesting. Here, our shade, we have books. The game doesn't have 60 books. It has a lot, but not 60. And she thought it had only been perhaps 160, 170 days. She had completely lost sense of time, living in darkness and such. I guess people, when you live with the sun, you sort of adapt a habit of the sun. Perhaps if people who live in Alaska, where the sun turns differently, where you can have multiple days of just darkness, I wonder if their patterns change as well. I would imagine so. Ooh, look at this pool. Let's go for a swim. I'm quite certain it's not tall enough. Oh, look at that. It's to our eyeballs. Oh, just to see him jump. What a failure. The friendly droplet is helping me out, but filling up the pit will take a few more weeks. We knew it would take a month. But wow, look at it. I had wondered, or rather, I pondered the idea of having the shade just sit here. And as we did a time lapse on our first day of a door opening over a period of 2 hours, and then doing a time lapse of it, to do a time lapse of this little droplet filling up the pool. It would take a month in real time. I don't think that will be healthy for the Switch to be left on for a month. clump of moss. Who would have thought that I would become such a competent moss picker? But with 20 moss, that's enough moss for building our bed. We just need a few more pieces of wood. We need 10 pieces of wood, and then we can build our bed. I wonder if scientifically, if her body had only progressed for a couple of months instead of a year and a half, like everyone on the surface did. This is a interesting thing that happens to people who go into space, that time flows differently for them, apparently. We know this, especially with satellites. There's a company who I believe it's 2.5 minutes, it might be a minute and a half, they have to update the time on the satellites, because time, it actually physically moves differently on the internal clocks of satellites. And so people on the surface have to update the clocks on all those satellites, because we're using those satellites for GPS. You may have seen this before, know people who have experienced the phenomenon of looking for a location on a map and the location being miles away. Then after a second or two, that location jumps to nearby. It's like, that was miles and miles away. How could it be so far off? And that comes down to the timing of the satellites. Just from a few microseconds of the satellite being off, it can shift the GPS by miles. So this is why they have a company to constantly update the time on these satellites. So time is different in space, and astronauts have experienced this. There's some sort of science fiction theories of, if you were to live in space long enough and then come back to the Earth, that years may have gone by, which for you was only, well, far less time. I wouldn't say months, but that's the science fiction angle of it in any case, where there's some famous books who also explore that. But apparently it's true, it really does happen. So I'm wondering, this woman who lived in this cave, she felt like it was only a few months. I wonder if the timing of her body had shifted as well. You'll probably hear about this story again, because they're planning to turn the entire experience into a documentary. And I'm sure that we'll hear plenty more insider thoughts and things that she went through. The story that NPR put out only just put out some of the vague details that it happened, and that there were other reporters and stuff who asked a lot of questions, but there isn't much said here, or any links to any resource to what else was said. Let's get that little piece of coal. She did mention that now that it was over, she wasn't accustomed to light, so she wore dark sunglasses, and she said she'll have to get used to talking to people again. kind of amazing how fast people can adapt to something. They did share some details about how she got food and how she kept her camp clean and such. And it's kind of gross, but you know, she's not like the Shade. She has to eat. Our Shade doesn't. So naturally, if you eat, you poop. And after 5 poops, basically, she would take it and place it somewhere, kind of like an offering she had mentioned. And in exchange, uh, it was some distance away from her camp. It was kind of a neutral area. So she would go and put the things there, and then she would go back to her camp. And after some time, the researcher would come in and take her offering and leave her with food, fresh fruits and vegetables, whatever they can gather for her. I guess whatever was in season or something. And so she joked how she kind of felt like she was communing with the gods, leaving them her treats for theirs. I'm liking this idea better of just picking up coal as we go on. I saw another piece. No, he's gonna climb again. That's not what we meant, little Shade. We wanted you to get the coal. There. Nope. It's gone. I think I'd like to hear more about her story. It sounds interesting. And to see our spider bro. What's up, spider bro? May I borrow your home? It's like going through the spider's front door, out the back door, and going on our way. We're probably going to eat this mushroom and a few others while we're here. Let's go visit the cool little room down here. Look at that nice mushroom. So we got a green one down here. And we got this big one. Use-matic? What's that about? Let's go visit the other mushroom. We'll use the matic on that one. This one is fine. We're going to leave it there. In fact, I think I'm going to harvest this green one. Yeah, let's do this. Let's grow another one. Oh, that one is already growing weird. Okay. Perhaps just having one green one anywhere near purple ones, they're just gonna grow weird. We can put that to the test. We'll take a green one and we'll just plant it near some of the purple ones that grow at the entrance. Ah, it vanished. It's quite strange, Cole, how it'll just vanish on occasion. That if we don't touch it, it just vanishes. It's no longer real. We'll come back for that green one. Actually, if we're lucky, because we planted a second purple one in the place where we wanted it to be, I wonder if it's growing weird already. Because we've planted green ones here, we should see several weird ones. Harvest. Okay. So, I'm going to plant you. I have to make sure I do this correctly. And this one is probably in the way, so we're going to use the matic. This mushroom has turned into an abomination. Maybe it could have been used as a trampoline if it had grown closer to the ledge. This is a lore playthrough, and I do mean to show as much as the game as we can. I didn't mean to show that particular dialogue. It is helpful though, or if, like what I just did, we planted them backwards. we planted the green one closer to the ledge, and then the purple one afterwards. And what we needed to do was plant the purple one and the green one. This should cause this mushroom here, it's slowly growing, to become mutated, and we should get the nice big one right at the edge, near the ledge, right where we want it. So let's see. It's just normal. So you do have to plant them near the same time. Let's grow another weird one. We're going to move you. Oh, that one's a yuck. Okay. Another spot to grow, perhaps. That one's a yuck as well. Okay. We could go amok and just plant lots of mushrooms. You'll notice we're kind of confined to where we can plant mushrooms. If we go back where the spider is, the spider limits us from taking mushrooms that way. Just because our weight and the mushrooms is too heavy. I think if there were another game made like The Longing, I would enjoy being able to have perhaps a second home, or being able to choose the place where we would have our home. I would probably choose this place. Nice piece of coal. Let's go plant you in a weird spot. Let's go grab a green one. We'll make a big mushroom here. So, the big mushrooms, we only have the one interaction, which is to use the matic, which is to just destroy them. Unless, however, it's the one mushroom in that very particular place. When it's in that place next to the ledge, we'll have a different interaction with it. But it's only there. think what I'm gonna do for digging around is to check the Steam sales. How well did this game do? As you can imagine, idle games, they've become quite popular and they're a well-known genre. But this game, however, as far as I know, it's just the only one who does this. We're gonna eat this one. No, we're not. We're gonna grow it. We're gonna eat this one. No, we're gonna grow that. We have 5 more chances here to eat a mushroom. There's the tragedy herself. What a strange and beautiful dream. I'm gonna plant this one, just to make this place really covered. And this one. I think there are only the 2 visions. Actually, let's put it to the test. We have 3 mushrooms here. You'll notice the time. We've advanced quite a bit of time while having our little vision there. We have another. Note the time now. Here we go. It's the same vision, but instead, it's the older man. And time is shifted by an hour. Mushrooms, a way to idle our time. It's much like the readings that we were doing of Thus Spoke Zarathustra. See you later, Spider Bro. I think the spider just has a regular pattern that it walks up and down. And when it came to the spider building the web, it just followed that same pattern to create the web. I think that's another place I would be curious to do a time lapse for. I wonder. There's this ledge over here. When we tried to jump up it last time, we glitched out. I'm pretty sure it won't happen again. Okay. Would have been a nice little shortcut. So, yeah, this is a way to idle our time. We can spend some time and grow many mushrooms. It takes roughly 3 mushrooms to have a little vision, which elapses time for an hour. And let's say we have 12 mushrooms or so, that potential for us to consume in one day. We could instead grow all 12 of those mushrooms, and after they've grown, the next day we'll have double. So I can imagine with all the space we have there, you can easily set up a sort of farm to just idle time away through eating mushrooms. Granted, there is a little bit of downtime that you would have to spend waiting for the mushrooms to regrow. And the dream sequence itself, I don't think we can skip. I wonder, thinking about speedrun routing, as I tend to do, if we were perfect in our execution and put 1 purple mushroom and then the 1 green mushroom afterwards, and then consumed the rest of the purple mushrooms that were up there, would that be enough time passed for that mushroom to have grown? Maybe not. If anything, perhaps 4 hours or so we would have gained. It's nice to know that we can manipulate our time, even so far from home. A bit of time to play with. We could grab a small chunk of coal. We could probably walk home within that time as well. How about, let's go visit the face. Well, we'll eventually go back to see the face. I was thinking to go mine the crystal there. We will eventually go back to see the face. And we also have the topic of the other ingredients together. One is enough disappointments. We're one disappointment short currently, and we need 3 gold coins. So with the gold coins, it's costly in its own way, which is why we've been delaying doing that. And let me step back into this room. Actually, let's go ahead and investigate. As we already know, this is going to cause the map to zoom out. When it does, we're going to look for a very specific feature. Let's see. I can use this to point. By now, you should have a bit of familiarity with these rooms. We've walked through them at least once. If you look here, in this chamber, there's a little bit of shading right here where the cursor is. It's a little bit of a darker shade like that of a doorway, but there is no door there. And there are others. Here, you can actually see a door, a small wooden door. Let's go take a walk over there. I dreamed about my death. First, I heard a scream and then I fell from a great height. Going back to the idea that the Shade is living a second life. This is his afterlife. That's a bit of a clue to lead to this theory that he had dreamed of his death and that he fell from a great height. What perhaps was he doing? See a piece of coal. Quick, touch it before it melts. It melted. So, according to the big map, there was a large door right here. We don't see it now, however. This place has secrets. It has little mysteries. And that's one we're going to track down. We didn't catch it today, but as we go out and venture around, we're going to keep it in mind. We'll catch it. Hello, treasure. I think... Oh, wait. Oh, wait. I'm aware of some bugs that could happen, and I do know a lot of bugs have been patched out. There's actually another recent patch, and I haven't patched my game just because I knew that there were some issues that happened with Eternity. Some people having their... Oh no, pick it up, pick it up. Some people being warped to weird places and stuff. So I intentionally avoided updating. There was a patch that came out after the other one that fixed the issue, but I don't know what else it may have changed or fixed. So yeah, we will update before the end, but not yet, not right now. And I think one of those updates would have fixed the issue there, where when my best friend was playing the game, she ran into a bug with using the mattock there to retrieve the treasure, and she wasn't able to retrieve the treasure. It was unfortunate. I know how to avoid the bug, but we don't have everything we need for that. Not yet, so we're just gonna wait. But yeah, if you had spent 500 days in a cave, what would you bring with you? What would you do? I think reading is a natural thing for a lot of people to do, but what about writing? Think of that, where from playing video games, we tend to come up with ideas of how that game could have been better, what they could have done different. Doesn't mean we're going to be making games, but we get ideas of something we could do. I wonder, if you read enough books, don't you also get ideas like, nobody's written this before? Or eventually you reach a point where you have something you want to write. I just like being creative, so I definitely would have tools to allow me to be creative. Speaking of being creative, let's get some drawings here. the Savior, with his long nose that somewhat resembles our own. Put it down here. It's going to rock out a bit. It's not what we wanted, shade. Just passing the time. I think we'll set up our shade to read a book on his own. It's a short one. Is there a longer one, perhaps? Here we are. All right. Again, tomorrow we'll be reading from Thus Spoke Zarathustra, the first volume, and we're going to continue that. I'm curious, will I go through all 4 volumes? The last reading was a little bit difficult, even for me. I wonder, after we finish the first volume, if we might just say that was enough for now, and read other things instead. But we'll be doing that. And then the next day, we'll take that journey off to see the Crystal Cavern area. And then the next adventure, we'll go back and see what's up with our mushrooms. Yeah. Hanging out here, reading books. Enough time should have passed by then. Everything will be grown and ready for us to explore. There's still a good bit left of the game if we were to read our thoughts. Actually, let's do that now. There's still quite a bit to be done. Cave is supposedly full of hidden places. I wonder when I'll discover every part of the cave. I've seen a lot of places, but not everything. So, the first cross out. So far I haven't seen anything, and then I have seen a little bit. Even a little bit has been crossed out, which means there's still more to explore, but we're approaching that point where soon we will have seen everything. And yeah, I want to enjoy those times. So we're going to be spacing those out. And we're also going to improve our decor. We should perhaps do that. If we were to gather more paper, so that way we can draw more. It's going to help speed up time. And also the crystals. All right, we'll make a point of that. That's what we'll be doing. A good bit of perhaps tomorrow. Enjoy your book, little shade.